I would like to say to you all, after greeting my dear companion Janja, after greeting Comrade André Correa do Largo, and after greeting Simon Stiell, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Framework Convention, and after welcoming all the UN representatives here, our governors, senators, ministers of my government and all of my ministers, I want to tell you that it is very difficult to speak without first paying tribute to the people of Para. To those of you who have come from other countries to attend this convention, please, pay close attention. You are about to take part in an event in a state with truly wonderful people. You will meet men and women who are joyful, polite, and who will care for you here in this city like you have never experienced before. I want to thank my team at the Casa Civil, represented here by Ricost, and Governor Helder Barbalo, for achieving the feat of hosting COP here in the heart of the Amazon, in Para and in Belém. Enjoy this city. Enjoy its joy and beauty. Enjoy the charm, warmth, and love from the men and women who will welcome you. Above all, enjoy the cuisine of Para. Take full advantage of it. You will taste food here you won't find anywhere else in the world. Perhaps you'll have the best fish you've ever tasted. And don't forget to try manicoba. The interpreter should translate this correctly, because there's an ongoing rivalry between Para, Rio de Janeiro, and Bahia to see whose manicoba is best. I also want to say that hosting COP here is as great a challenge as eradicating pollution from our planet. It would have been easier to hold COP in a less complicated city, in a city without these challenges. But we decided to rise to the challenge and bring COP to the Amazon, to prove that with political will, determination, and a commitment to the truth, we can show there are no impossible tasks for humankind. The only real impossibility comes from our lack of courage to face challenges. So, congratulations to you, delegates, government representatives, and to the people of Para. Congratulations for giving us all this lesson in civility, this lesson in human greatness, showing that if those who make war were present at this COP, they would see it is much more worthwhile to invest $1.3 trillion to solve climate problems than to spend $2.7 trillion on war, as has been done in recent years. Over 30 years ago, at the Earth Summit, world leaders met in Rio de Janeiro to discuss development and environmental protection. At that time, multilateralism was at its peak. The world was entering the so-called decade of conferences, from which emerged major guiding principles that have led humanity for the past 3 decades. Among them were the concept of sustainable development and the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, legacies of the Rio 92 summit. Now, the Climate Convention returns to its birthplace. It retraces its steps, aiming to recover the passion and commitment that marked its beginnings. For the next 2 weeks, Belém will be the capital of the world. Governors, mayors, parliamentarians, scientists, and organizations from civil society will be part of this collective effort for the planet. Bringing COP to the heart of the Amazon was a difficult but necessary task. The Amazon is not an abstract entity. Those who only see the forest from above don't know what goes on under its canopy. The most diverse biome on Earth is home to nearly 50 million people, including 400 indigenous peoples, spread across 9 developing countries that still face immense social and economic challenges. Challenges that Brazil strives to overcome with the same determination it used to solve the logistical hurdles of hosting a conference of this scale. When you leave Belém, the people of this city will remain with the improved infrastructure created to receive you. And the world can now say it knows the reality of the Amazon. In the days leading up to this conference, heads of state and government, ministers, and representatives from international organizations and civil society gathered here for the Belém summit. We launched the Tropical Forests Forever Fund, an innovative mechanism that raised $5.5 billion in investment announcements in a single day. We committed collectively to actions such as integrated fire management, securing land rights for indigenous and traditional peoples, quadrupling the production of sustainable fuels, creating a coalition for the carbon market, and aligning climate action with the fight against hunger and poverty. And we continue the struggle against environmental racism. The Belém summit marked a milestone along a path that Brazil invited the international community to follow during its chairmanship of the G20 and BRICS. The key elements we gathered from this journey are included in the call to action launched after the summit, which serves as a contribution to the COP debates and beyond. Climate change is no longer just a future threat. It is a present tragedy. Hurricane Melissa, which battered the Caribbean, and the tornado that struck Parana and the south of Brazil, left fatalities and a trail of destruction. From the wildfires and droughts in North America and Europe, from the southern cone of South America to Southeast Asia, global temperature rises are spreading pain and suffering, especially among the world's most vulnerable. COP30 will be the COP of truth. In this era of disinformation, Obscurantists reject not only scientific evidence but also the progress we have achieved through multilateralism. They manipulate algorithms, spread hatred and fear, and attack institutions, science, and universities. This is the time to secure another victory against the deniers. Without the Paris Agreement, the world would be heading toward a catastrophic 5-degree warming by the end of the century. We are moving in the right direction, but at the wrong speed. At the current pace, we are still headed for warming above 1.5 degrees Celsius. Crossing that threshold is a risk we cannot take. Dear friends, our call to action is divided in 3 parts. In the first, I urge countries to fulfill their commitments. This means formulating and implementing ambitious nationally determined contributions, ensuring financing, transferring technology, building capacity in developing countries, and giving appropriate attention to adapting to the impacts of climate change. In the second part, I call on world leaders to accelerate climate action. We need a roadmap that allows humanity, in a fair and planned way, to overcome dependency on fossil fuels, reverse deforestation, and mobilize resources for these goals. Progress requires stronger global governance to ensure words become actions. The proposal to create a climate council linked to the UN General Assembly is one way to give this challenge the political stature it deserves. In the third part, I urge the international community to put people at the center of the climate agenda. Global warming can push millions into hunger and poverty, undoing decades of progress. The disproportionate impact of climate change on women, Afro-descendants, migrants, and vulnerable groups must be considered in adaptation policies. It is essential to recognize the role of indigenous territories and traditional communities in mitigation efforts. In Brazil, 13% of our territory is demarcated for indigenous peoples, perhaps not enough yet. A just transition must contribute to reducing the disparities between the global north and south, rooted in centuries of emissions. The climate emergency is a crisis of inequality. It exposes and worsens what is already unacceptable. It deepens the perverse logic that decides who is worthy of living and who is not. Changing by choice gives us the chance of a future not dictated by tragedy. We cannot let frustration extinguish the hopes of our youth. We owe our children and grandchildren the chance to live on an earth where dreaming is still possible. The Yanomami shaman Davi Kopanawa says that city thinking is murky and clouded, obstructed by the rumble of cars and noise of machines. I hope the calm of the forest inspires us all with the clarity of thought we need to see what must be done. Have a great COP, and thank you very much.
E mais, é a luta contra o racismo ambiental.